Yeah, just give us better scripts, and then we'll all be happy, I suppose.
Sure.
But something that Mauler's not happy about, and I think Reaper as well, actually, is Fallout.
What?
You know what? I feel like I just need to step back and just let you guys air your thoughts on this one, because I feel like we're at odds slightly on this.
Well, who wants to go
I quite
first?
liked it.
Well, then, why don't you set the stage, Drinker? You give your take, and then we'll do a little round table.
We'll unbox you.
Okay, I mean, my overall take was that. Yeah, I'm going to run away.
I liked it. So I'm happy to say why. So
I feel like it captured the same air of dark satirical comedy that the games did, or at least the later games. I liked the main character. I thought that she was nicely drawn. She wasn't like a Hollywood girl boss who just dominates at everything.
She was actually pretty crap at a lot of things.
Well, yeah, she kind of gets her ass kicked and goes on a bit of a character journey where she's like super naive and a bit useless at everything, learns some harsh lessons, and eventually evolves into a slightly more savvy person who learns some harsh truths. The aesthetics of it, the kind of retro futuristic 1950s vibe, they nailed that. That was great. I thought Walton Goggins was fantastic as the ghoul. I like the flashback sequences where you get to see, his life before the war, putting into context a lot of the things that led up to the nuclear war and what Voltec was all about. So I thought that stuff worked pretty well, and some decent action sequences. And I feel like for a show that I don't think was done on a huge budget, I think generally it looks pretty good. And
it was about $15 million.
Not a small budget for this one.
An episode.
Well, that's half of what they spent on She-Hulk, and I know which one I'd rather watch.
That's all of what they spent on Godzilla -1 for one episode. Equals the budget of Godzilla -1.
I played Fallout Las Vegas to death. That game, that was a time when I kind of got up in the morning, played the game. I would suddenly realize it was 2:00 in the afternoon, cooked toast and beans, and then played the game again, and I suddenly realized it was 4:00 in the morning. And I'm sure some people in chat know what I'm talking about. It was that immersive, my mum had not long passed away, and it got me through a really tough time. And I played that solidly for 6 weeks, and that was my world for 6 weeks. And I got to know it pretty well. And I felt like this TV show got a lot of things right about it. I was expecting it to be awful. I thought, oh my God, not this IP as well, please. And I really was expecting it to be awful. And I have to say, I was pleasantly surprised. I felt like it was made by a person who cared about the IP. I didn't mind that some of the lore was broken. I didn't want it to be exactly the same as the game. I did want it to stand as something on its own right, but I didn't like everything about it. I had some issues with it, and I'm sure that they're going to get vocalized by others. But on the whole, I enjoyed it. I was pleasantly surprised. I thought it was pretty good.
Okay, tell us why we're wrong.
Well, I'll start with the positives. It looks good, and I like Walton Goggins. Now for the negatives. Every character is stupid. The plot makes no sense. The comedy is like done by a teenager. There's a girl who just pisses all over the floor because her water's broke, and everyone's going, oh, it's like, oh, that comedy is awful. Everyone is stupid. The main villain, her entire plan makes no sense. Maximus doesn't even know what his dick's for. She goes, do I have sex? He goes, oh, you mean use my penis? What else do you think it's for? Everything. It's just, I'm on PTSD looking at it.
I got a question. So a woman breaks her water. Everybody freaks out in basically what they say is a breeding vault. Wouldn't everybody know what to do in a breeding vault if a woman breaks her water?
Well, you think?
I mean, is it a breeding vault specifically, or is it just like a general?
They said.
Yeah, but there's not. It's like it's a control. It's not a control vault. No, actually, those are different ones.
You're missing one thing. They said we keep Vault 33 around for their superior genes. Have you seen the people in the vaults?
Yeah.
the guy's 4 foot tall. The other one's like obese.
Yeah, he's had more than his fair ration share.
Superior genes. I couldn't stop laughing when I heard that.
Yeah.
Well,
Mahler.
all right.
Mahler, share your thoughts with the group.
I think this show doesn't even remotely respect your time or your intelligence. Nothing makes any fucking sense. Everyone acts like a retard, and they're relying on iconography to trick you into ignoring pretty much everything in terms of how lazy or backward ass the development is, with some downright hilariously embarrassing points of view peppered in throughout a lot of the plot lines that if you just keep an eye on them, you can see just how everything is developing. Now, I have seen the show twice to make sure that I didn't miss a lot of things. And you know what? Second time around, I was like, fuck, this makes even less sense. It's getting real confused. The nature of Vault Tech, I take massive issue with how they've been portrayed. They're just like every single thing that they intend to do is I can only describe as retarded. All the main characters, I have to take dramatic disagreement with what Lucy goes through. Every single fucking thing she goes through gets reversed almost instantly soon after. It's incredibly boring. I think this is best accentuated by the fact that a finger gets cut off and then 5 minutes later it's reattached with a dead finger from someone else that just happens to be the exact same shape and size by a robot who intends to cut her up for organs. That makes sense. And then, of course, you know, the amount of times people are shot at and they completely miss. The fucking minigun that fires 1,000 rounds at Dr. Wilzig or whatever his fucking name is, completely miss, right? The Walton Goggins fires something like 30 rounds at Maximus, misses everything, even though in episode 8, he can insta-kill power armor with one shot. That made a lot of sense. I was watching...
Wait, when does he fire at Maximus? Sorry?
About 30 times.
In Philly.
No, but when? What episode?
In Philly.
Episode 2.
Yeah.
Oh,
He's
right,
about
yeah.
He shoots the scientist's foot off, and then Maximus jumps off, and then he shoots him about 50 times. Maximus punches him, and he somehow survives, which can destroy concrete.
All Maximus had to do was push his head, but he just doesn't. He keeps throwing him around, because everyone has intense plot armor in the show, and even if they lose a foot, or if they get shot in the fucking gut, they'll just be healed seconds later if they're a main character.
Yeah, but that's what happens in the game, though, isn't it?
No.
Well, if you get a stim pack, it'll basically heal you up, and they pretty much do that here.
I mean,
but he doesn't. He gets shot twice in the back, and then he sits down, and he's not even phased. Then Maximus comes in, punches him full power in the chest. He flies across into the stairs, and he's perfectly fine.
But isn't that the point of a ghoul? Like, they don't die in the normal sense.
My issue is not their ability to heal, it's the coincidence that they have access to the materials instantly. For example, Maximus gets into a point-blank shootout with 2 people who pull first on him, and somehow one of them misses and one of them shoots him in the arm while he kills both of them. Very lucky, but hey, it works out. He's bleeding out, and they're like, damn, we need to sort out this bleeding out, Maximus. Hopefully we stumble across somewhere that can help us, and they happen to fall into Vault 4, which supplies them fully with material to stitch them up, to give them antibiotics, to feed them, to give them food and water, and then to house them. We can get into Vault 4 later if you want, but ultimately gets them on their way. They practically get a full heal from the gods that are the writers because he got shot in the arm, which he should have been fucking killed in that scene anyway. He's also retarded.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just taking this as like literally reflecting the games. Like shit, conveniently happens to get you to the next stage of the story.
I'm not expecting this game to depict real life, Mauler. I'm expecting it to be tonally a lot like a video game. It's going to be nonsense, and I don't mind that. I don't care actually, as long as I.
So you agree, right? Because I already knew it was going to happen. You agree? There's no stakes.
I don't know about that.
I agree that characters have got intense plot armor. And
Yeah,
I got a real sense of people will die when they're goddamn good and ready.
Good, because the fact that it's a video game adaptation is being used as a shield for it, and it's getting boring. Like every single problem with this game is like, oh, but I don't know, it happens in the game, so I guess that's okay with me. It's like if it makes you feel like it's the game, that's wonderful, and I appreciate you're enjoying the experience, but that is not the intention of the show. It is attempting to tell you a dramatic story with characters who are going through journeys. It is important when people die.
It's trying to walk this bit of a fine line between like comedy satire and serious dramatic events with stakes. And I think that's a difficult line to walk when you actually have to get people invested in characters being at risk. That is where it comes unstuck. And I 100% agree with you on that one. And it's a difficult problem to get around because you can either replicate the tone and feel of the games where it very much feels like you're just seeing a video game play out with a lot of the mechanics, a lot of the satirical humor that comes with the games. Or you can just have a straight up dramatic story, in which case it's going to feel kind of disjointed from the games because it's a different tone. Because the things that happen in the games can't possibly
plenty
happen.
Examples that nail this compared, and the fact is the best and brightest of the video game adaptations being something like an Arcane, Cyberpunk Edge Runners. I would say even fucking the Mario movie has better stakes than this show does, because this show just doesn't care. It just like anything that the guy is like, oh, he gets his foot when he is crushed by power armor on his foot. I was like, he ain't walking on that ever again. And then they establish like several episodes later. Yeah, he's walked fucking miles. He doesn't give a shit. And then he just gets it healed, right? Which is a video game mechanic. Sure, I'm fine with the idea that you can heal anything. Becomes a ghoul as a result of that. I was like, okay, I guess that's the rule, which is incredibly convenient because now that means he can't go back to the Brotherhood, which means he has to provide the head back to Maximus, which is exactly what he needed for the plot. He somehow caught up to him despite being behind him when he first went into Vault 4. They waste a whole bunch of time there, and then they come out and somehow catch up to him instantly before the Brotherhood arrive. Had they been 5 minutes later, the whole story doesn't work, which, by the way, I want to go back to the beginning. Vaults 31, 32, and 33. Moldova coming in there because, if you remember, Hank went out there to get his daughters back from his wife and decided, you know what, anyone who isn't a super manager.
I like how you call his daughters. His son.
Oh. I ain't even going to correct that. He has to go out there and get them, and so decides, you know what, Shady Sands and everyone here, I'm just going to come and kidnap my kids somehow without any difficulty, and then nuke everything, and then go back to my vault. I thought that was pretty hilarious.
If she was with his wife, where was she?
Well, so I'm not even fucking through like all my issues here. So like he goes back to the vault.
Just Moldova
then is like, I got a plan. I need to activate my cold fusion. I need the thing inside Wilzig's neck, and I need Hank because he'll have the codes. I'm gonna go with my raiders all the way to Vault 32, break in, so then I can do a trade with Vault 31. If you're gonna break into Vault 32, why not just break into Vault 31 anyway? She didn't know everyone was dead in Vault 32. That was just incredibly lucky. And then, of course, there's everything. I talked about this on Real BBC with Gary, and as the problems with episode 1 are accentuated once you get the full context of the whole season, everything makes even less sense. Moldova cares extremely about Rose, her values, and her children, yet she allows her raiders to nearly kill Lucy several times. That makes no sense at all. She doesn't.
If you're going to get into a vault, you're going to have to fight your way in, and you're going to risk killing everyone, potentially Hank as well, who you need to get the code. So wouldn't it make sense to go into 32, where you can kill everyone, impersonate them, and then fake your way into 33?
They do that in 31. She releases her raiders to kill everyone in 31. That's what happens in episode 1.
No, Vault 31 is the control vault that oversees it all.
Oh, sorry, 33. If she didn't want to have everyone get into a big fight in 33, then why did she do that anyway?
Well, I guess she was hoping that they would be able to infiltrate the place. Like, they get discovered ultimately, and then it all goes to shit, and they have to kill everyone.
They just start killing everybody.
Yeah, they're eating cake as they're doing it.
Yeah.
Which is beautiful. I would definitely eat cake when I kill people.
Remember, just try and pretend you are Moldova for a second. You need to get Hank, and preferably you need to free these people from the experiment, because remember, Rose believed that they were under a horrible experiment. Moldova believed in her. She described her as like good, kind, intelligent, caring, curious, and that was reflected in her kids. She practically let her kids get killed as far as she was concerned. Remember, at one point she says you got to choose your daughter or these people. He chooses his daughter, so she leaves her behind in the vault instead of liberating her from this horrible experience, but then doesn't even kill the people that she said that he had to choose between. I didn't make any sense of any of that, but it gets so much worse.
She needs the code, and that choice shows that he cares more about his daughter than anyone else. So why not just go, we're going to kill your daughter unless you give us the code?
Why not, in case he lies, right? Why not kidnap him and the daughter, take them to the observatory, and then have him put the code in? If he refuses, then you threaten the daughter. It's the simplest shit ever, but it gets so much stupider, right? I don't want to spend too much time on the vaults. She would walk back from Vault 33 through to 32, back out into the wasteland, all the way to the observatory, correct? We're all on board with that. The other half of this is she needs to get Wilzig's head. Now, preferably, it would be attached to his body. She doesn't want him dead or anything. He's in the Enclave. He moves to Philly. Then he gets the head taken off, and then she takes that with the ghoul all the way to, like, it goes on an adventure. It eventually gets back to the observatory. Why does Moldova pay someone called Rufus, to pay someone called Tommy, to pay someone called Ma June to help move Mr. Wilzig from Philly to the observatory instead of just doing it herself? She went to the vault. That is further back than Philly. So she would have been, she had to walk past Wilzig to get to the observatory, and she decided instead she would pay a whole bunch of people to pay a whole bunch of people to get him to the observatory. Why not just do it herself?
I don't know the geography of these vaults and where they sit in relation to the observatory.
If you remember, Lucy, when she leaves the vault to go to Philly, she bumps into Wilzig immediately. Wilzig is known to be going.
Yeah, but you don't know how far he's wandered from where he started off.
He's supposed to go to Philly. That's the point. Is Ma June is supposed to take care of him in Philly. She's paid to do that by Moldova. If Moldova's going to pay 3 different people to pay 3 different people to take care of him in Philly to the observatory, why not just do it herself?
Also, the Enclave must be close, because when Lucy leaves the vault, the scientist bums right into her, so he's got to be nearby.
Well, she used fast travel to get there, clearly.
It's so retarded, because I actually think that it's just something that they hope you don't notice. She does all that work with the vaults herself, personally, with her raiders. She could have done Wilzig along the way, but she just doesn't, because otherwise we wouldn't have a whole plot.
Have you taken your heart medication today?
No.
Make sure. Okay.
There is so much. I'm not even.
I have no retort to that particular assertion.
You liked it. Apart from all those things, you loved it, though, right? You thought it was great.
I was so disappointed that Hank went from being what I thought was going to be an interesting man who would sacrifice anything for his daughter, including the safety of the vault to an extent, like that's how much he loved it, all the way over to, no, he just values the gene pool of super managers.
The terrible gene pool.
That was fucking...
Carl McLachlan's character, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially wasting...
Well, I guess that's the essence of what Vault-Tec is like the complete inhumanity of them, like valuing their experiments, their procedures, their mission above all else. It doesn't bear out in terms of like realistic human behavior, but that's the world of Fallout. That's the kind of people that get recruited into Vault-Tec.
How many characters have to be retarded before it's a bad show?
You'd be surprised at my tolerance for retardation in a show like this.
I couldn't get over the fucking capitalism and bad speech that they all have in the big table, the big room filled with fat cats talking about how the best way to capitalize on the world economy is to kill everyone. That shit was so fucking dumb. I was losing my mind.
I think that's where I guess I had an issue. Because in the games, it's always kept ambiguous as to how the war started. It was just an event which took place, and Vault-Tec didn't necessarily precipitate it. They just knew that it was going to happen sooner or later, and they prepared for it.
Yeah, I felt
now
like
it's unambiguous. They're like, we need to do this.
Know that in season 1, did we? Really, that could have come a lot later as a twist, which a twist that Mauler would have loved, obviously. But that was too much information too soon.
It also ruins Mr. House, because Mr. House didn't know when the bombs are going to drop, which is why he's all fucked up in New Vegas, because he missed it by a week. He went, it's in the next 15 years, I don't know when, was off by a week. In this one, he was told the exact date and didn't check his calendar.
Yeah.
So he's an idiot.
All I can gather from this is, don't worry, it's supposed to be retarded. Okay.
I mean, I think that's kind of the gist of it. Which
great,
I guess it's not going to be a very satisfactory explanation. I understand that.
I like my satires written with intelligence instead of like, communist is just the word they give people who aren't insane. That's a quote.
Well, she does but she does preface that by saying, "I'm not a communist." She specifically says that she is not one,
but then acts like one.
But the point she's making is that like it's easy for Vault-Tec to just smear people as communists in order to get them discredited and removed from any kind of threat position.
They refer to their own meetings as like everyone's referring them to as communist meetings. They're in an exact opposition to capitalist ideology. Like that's the point of them. They want everyone to have
the way I read it is that they're in opposition to like corporationism. They're in opposition to Vault-Tec.
Vault-Tec explicitly talks about winning the game of capitalism over and over again.
Yeah, because aren't they meant to reflect capitalism taken to its nth degree?
The game is
Well, corporates are
satirizing
more like-
the side of capitalism as, be careful because it leads to war, famine, just horrible apocalypse, because that capitalism benefits from war. Meanwhile, the characters who get called communists throughout the whole show are all the good guys.
And what does she want to do? She wants to give free energy to everyone in the wasteland.
And Hank wants to stop
Yeah,
it.
but who calls them communist? It's Vault-Tec.
It's
the
everyone
antagonists
else.
of the story.
We've got the people on the set.
So I
of the
don't believe
movie
what they
doing it.
say.
But you can also infer from the writers, because the writers have removed any sort of blame from communist China, because that's what starts the war between China and communist China and capitalist America. Yeah, all the blame is on capitalist America.
They fought
The war wasn't it between Russia and America, like over Alaska?
No, it was China. China take Alaska, and then they invent power armor, push them out of Alaska. Then they start to invade China, and it's believed China froze the first nuke because they're about to lose.
And another quote from her is, "We have more in common with those people that we fought in that war than we do with the people who are running this country."
Yeah.
How do you want to interpret
someone in chat? Someone in chat.
Is she referring to the people, like the people who have been manipulated into fighting the war on the other side, like the soldiers? Like, do we have more in common with the common man, literally, who's just been slapped into a suit of power armor and told to go and kill these other guys, than we do with these corporate overlords who have sent us on these missions and who are orchestrating the downfall of the entire human race? I guess that's how I interpreted it. I didn't see it as necessarily a strict communist versus capitalist argument on her behalf.
But it's what she does. She says communists aren't insane. Then later on, she's murdering innocent people. So it's kind of like, do you take a word for it? She behaves like a communist.
Well, again, she says, I'm not a communist, but communist is just a word that they put on people who aren't insane, as i.e. people who oppose Vault-Tec. So I don't know. I call me crazy. I interpreted that as her saying, I've got no interest in communism. I don't think Vault-Tec is in our best interest, and I think they're ultimately going to fuck us all over. And I want to hold them accountable. But they're going to call me that because it's an easy way to smear me and get me destroyed.
Yeah, if you worded it like that, that would make sense. But the problem is she kills innocent people in the future. So it's like her word means nothing.
Well, that's the thing. Everybody is fucked in the show because of the writing. Like, no, the show thinks she's a good person. They don't realize how much of an awful person she is. Yeah.
I mean, is this a greater good argument where it's like, okay, she's willing to sacrifice some innocent lives in order to get free, unlimited energy restored to the wasteland? And
we went over this. What she did in Vault 33 made no sense for her own values and just general values in general. She wanted to release her raiders to just run around and kill people. Why?
Also, Lucy is a girl she cares about because she knew didn't Shady Sands, but her new husband tries to stab her to death. If she cared about Lucy, her new husband should have locked the door and went, don't care about what's going on outside.
They should have captured the overseer, revealed the truth, and got them out of there. Instead, she has them all have a big fucking war. It makes no sense.
But is there an element of, I'm having to use these raiders because they're literally the only tool that I have at my disposal?
They work for
not
her.
Perfect, and they are, they get out of my control. They end up killing people.
No, they are fully in her control. They worship her, remember? She's even got cults around the world around them.
They smear each other in dead ashes, and then it's forgotten about. Why is she the Flame Mother?
That part was particularly fucking strange.
There they go, blood, drink blood, and then next week, the next morning, they're like, "Oh, gee, wait," and they can't cut the rope. I went, "Hang on a second, you cannibals."
They're not random raiders that she picked up from outside. They work for her.
The NCR survivors, because they come from that vault. They
they all hate Hank specifically, but they shouldn't hate the people in the vault because they've all been tricked.
Yeah. And she knows this. She knows Lucy's mum. Lucy's mum would have told her this.
Well, yeah, and she's like as Reaper's mentioned a couple of times, she's letting Rose's children get killed when she values them almost as much as she valued Rose. How does that make sense?
That guy tries to stab her to death. If he went, ignore what is going on outside and lock the door, that would make sense. Oh, he's trying to keep Lucy safe. But he doesn't. He goes, that was the best sex I ever had. I'm going to kill you now.
somebody in chat earlier said there's never been so many awkward silences on open bar before.
Well, there's another one.
I just wanted to point that out.
Gary, what's your thoughts on this?
Mahler had the floor, man. I was letting him go.
I've spoken too much. I shall
Yeah,
retire.
No,
Gary,
the long
Gary,
man is-
chat's waiting to hear from you, Gary.
They are waiting to hear from me. I did finish all 8 episodes. I am obviously an expert gamer, so I played all of these games.
Hardcore, man. Hardcore.
Know them through and through. Especially Shady Sands. Is that what it's called? Sandy Shades, Shady Sands,
Shady Sands.
Shady Sands, and the
Hand
arguments
shandies.
amongst the fandom with that. As a TV show without playing the game at all, I didn't like it. People were saying, "Hey, wait till the episode 4, man. It really kicks in with episode 4." I think it actually gets worse because
I'll get my coat. See you, drinker. Okay.
see ya.
Yeah.
I think it gets worse.
It's fucking weird. I'm defending a show against charges of being woke from Mahler. What has happened to this world? Have I lost my mind?
Anything like that? I'm just saying what's in the fucking show. All right.
Yeah,
That's all
we're
I'm
just
doing.
just talking about what's in the show. It's really easy to pick out the DEI check boxes. I saw that in the first episode. It gets fucking worse as it goes on. Maximus is a shit character. I just can't stand any scene he's in. He's just dumb.
Yeah, I hate him.
Yeah,
actually.
like Lucy was fine. Like for one, she's hot, and that helps. But
Oh, yeah.
I think they really tried not to make her a girl boss. Like I think there was like, hey, we can't make her a girl boss yet, but we'll lead into that later because there's a couple of fight scenes that she had no business winning, and I understand that this is like satire. Like this is supposed to be satire. With the communist stuff, I think they try to play both sides of it. When she specifically does say, "I'm not a communist," but that's what they, put a label they put on people who aren't insane. And we're just fighting this evil corporation. But then there's like all this communist iconography running around, like the Russian satellite that's perfectly preserved that they hide behind, where she cuts his head off. I'm assuming that was a satellite.
For fuck's sake, it's just a big lump of metal in the desert. It's not
It
meant
would
to
have been
represent
fucking
anything.
destroyed. A satellite doesn't like crash like that.
So is that your argument? Oh, the satellite
I'm
crash
just-
landed on Earth, so like Soviet fucking communist stuff is better.
I'm just starting my argument. And then when they worship her, when they worship Moldavia or whatever the fuck her name is, communist iconography, and then just constantly, bringing up that Vault-Tec again. I haven't played the game. Is supposed to represent capitalism and then degree of capitalism. And I think to myself, and I'm watching this on $1 trillion company's streaming service, adapting a game with like 75 sequels. So I love it when Hollywood does it. I mean, you remember the Last Jedi? I remember their little Canto Bite thing. It's just as cringe. Ultimately, I like Walton Goggins. He's great in everything. You ever seen Justified? Go see Justified. Justified's a great show. He's fine, except he spies on his wife, and I'm like, oh my god, over a dog. And that was a little hard for me to believe. Again,
I would go to war over a dog, Gary.
Not with my wife.
Yeah, I would.
That's what the
my
John Wick
wife would
films
make
are
me
about.
pick a dog, but what was that?
That's what the John Wick films are about. They kill his dog and he kills everyone.
Yep, they are. But it's not about your wife, dude. Come on. Spying on your wife was a bit much, but ultimately it got kind of turned into a slog at the end. And some of for one, very convenient timing with so much like people running into each other. So Lucy starts out near the Santa Monica Pier, right? And they're ultimately end up in the Griffith Observatory. If you're familiar with LA is a pretty big area, but it would take
Don't know
about
where
that
any
long.
of that stuff is.
It would be really fucking hard to bump into people like that. Okay. LA is not like San Francisco where it's like really small. It's like
Gary,
7x7.
My favorite one is when he's trapped in the power armor and he's about to be eaten by rad roaches, and she's near death from radiation poisoning, and they bump into each other and save each other's lives in the middle of nowhere. It's just like, nice, guys. Good job.
Yeah, the bully has already took the head in the opposite direction so that you can't even use the tracker as an excuse.
Oh my god, dude! When he said we can trace the mutant, the ghoul for his radiation signature, I was like,
There's
in
radiation
the fucking
everywhere.
wasteland.
Yeah.
What? Everything is radiated. Are you retarded?
Yes.
A lot of it was. A lot of it was. Lucy was fine. The ghoul was. I wanted more of the ghoul. But when you get into his backstory, I think they just explained too much. And you know, at the very end, they show that city. To somebody who's never played the game, they're like, and that was supposed to be a big moment. It's like, what the fuck was that?
Oh yeah,
what was that?
They'll
I have
ruin
no
that
idea.
next season. Don't you worry.
We'll find out. I love how the Brotherhood just takes a long fucking time to show up to places. Then they wreak havoc at the end. And then they have enough time to have a big fucking conversation about, you know, like, are you going to kill dad? And like, when you can predict whatever, Moldavia, I don't care what her fucking name is. I could absolutely predict, well, that's a girl boss and she'll be a misunderstood villain by the end. And when I saw Kyle MacLachlan, I'm like, he'll be the bad guy. And that's exactly what happened. When it gets that predictable, it suffers. It suffers from DEI. It's DEI storytelling, and it's obvious that a writer from Captain Marvel was involved with this, with some of the dialogue and some of the definitely messaging in it.
I will say, I want to put this out there that it is 100% less insufferable than pretty much anything that Disney have put out in the past 5 years. Yep, there's definitely some of those elements that you discussed there, but like in terms of, you know, the whole girl boss thing, like
there's girl bosses everywhere in this.
I don't even know why we're entertaining that as a bar anyway. Like,
Yeah,
I know, but like it's all relative, and I
have
have to go with what's available.
Well, the bars
plenty of
become
good
so
things
low.
available.
Well, maybe that's it. You know, maybe the bar is just that low. Sorry, Reaper,
Well, that's
go
the
ahead.
thing.
The open
Oh,
bar
no,
is that low.
It's at the point now where you have She-Hulk literally break the fourth wall and go, "You piece of shit," and they go, "Well, it didn't do that." That's basically like the bar now, because she was designed to be a Mary Sue from the beginning. She's a fencer, a martial artist, a scientist, an engineer. She's an expert marksman. She's a gardener. She has like 50 skills that she never uses. That was definitely a redo.
just
Well, I thought a lot of that
show.
was just referencing the special system.
Well,
she doesn't use
You know,
any
she
of it.
she even points out that she's not particularly good at certain things. Like she's not good at.
She lies. It's sarcastic because she goes, "I'm not particularly good," and hits the bullseye in the marksman training. But those skills are never used once.
I mean, you know, I bought into that. They even mentioned like they're naive and they're stupid and they're supposed to be the best gene pool, but they're not. They're a bunch of fucking idiots because they're management. They're middle management. That's kind of funny. I think you
HR departments.
Yeah, it's a
Well, I think
giant
That's
HR
what they are.
department.
Well, I think as well, like the show satirizes kind of lefty politics on immigration and stuff as well. Like when they capture a whole bunch of the raiders, and you got people talking about trying to integrate them into like the vault culture and stuff, and it's like clearly these people are like complete psychopaths that will murder you as soon as they get out of their holding cell.
But when they were starting to calm down, somebody poisoned them.
Yeah, the show doesn't align with that at all. It just kills them.
fact,
Obviously
wrong.
condemns that.
Yeah, it's going. These people.
Well, that's the point.
It's
It's like it's clear just from looking at it. Like that's a stupid plan. Like if you were to try and rehabilitate them and release them into your vault, they would kill everyone.
Well, yeah, but the show, we don't get to explore that at all. They all just
Well,
get
I know, because like obviously it doesn't want to go down that direction, because if you tried to do it, then it would kill all the characters there, and you wouldn't get any of the subplot about Vault 31.
If you're gonna interpret that way, what do you have to say about the character in Vault 4 who says, "I hate that we have to take in new people and that we can't call them names and that we have to like this smelly culture"?
Because it's giving you different perspectives, because each vault is different and the mindset of the people in them are different. I guess that's the point. It's like trying to satirize all different perspectives and taking them to their most extreme level and just saying like, this is stupid, isn't it?
What I'm getting at is he has his rant about he hates immigration, and then she just stares at him like he's a fucking crazy person. Meanwhile, when you have an actual ethical dilemma of a bunch of people try to attack and steal stuff from you and kill some of you, you've got them captured in a pen. Do you just kill them all? What do we do? What's the and that they highlight that.
No, you're missing the thing though. Like he's talking about like, oh, I couldn't even make a joke about how I can't remember what it was. Something like
a bomb
going off.
because they're refugees
from a fucking town that got nuked. And he's like, oh, I couldn't even, make a joke about that because it totally bombed.
Yeah, because
they
get offended.
And she looks at him because of that, because of the very obvious, that is going to be really hurtful or really shit thing to say to someone who's just survived a nuclear blast.
It's not just the joke, all of it. He says, I can't make fun of their smelly food. It's such a weird thing.
I know.
Obviously, the point
it takes it to the it takes
and
it to
he
the end
says
of the
the only reason he does it is because of policy that was set a long time ago. What do you think the point with that is?
I with the character of Maximus, you guys have pointed out how dumb he is. When we first met him, I thought he was going to be this super cool guy that was really good at everything. I was kind of glad that they made him a bad person, that he was actually a bit of a narcissist, that he doesn't help that cleric played the cameo role from the guy from True Romance, which was quite a nice little touch.
Oh, Rappaport.
And I mean, I did hate him. I kind of wanted him to die. I did find his character annoying, but I kind of liked that. I liked the fact that this guy was not noble, that he wasn't all righteous and everything. He's actually very much about himself and his own ego and stuff. And I thought that was a pretty brave decision to set him up like that. So,
well, I think with that particular guy, with the knight who's dying, the guy, for one, has proven himself. He's proven himself to be a fucking coward because he runs away from the bear thing. And so it shattered his illusions about what the knights actually are. And two, the guy's sitting there saying, you need to give me that med pack, but even if you give me the med pack, I'm going to make sure that you get fucking executed once you get back to base.
Smart.
That is not something I would say to a person who I need their help to
if
not
you let
die.
me live, I'll punish you.
He may as well have been you best heal me, because if you do, I'll make your life a living hell. You'll regret the very day you heal me, but you better heal me. I was like, fucking hell.
Yeah, that was immense retardation right there.
I agree. I wish he hadn't said that line. It would have been better if he didn't say that, and the guy still behaved.
Yeah, because there's a way to make that scene play out in a more intelligent fashion.
Absolutely.
Where it's he's like, oh, heal me up and we'll go back to base. And then, Maximus can say, well, what are you going to tell them about what happened here? And, he can gradually get more suspicious. And then you just see him withdraw and the guy beg for help. And then he just, passes away. That could work. That could have worked in a much better way.
With Lance, that I like the idea of having a character who is morally dubious or even morally, just an asshole, especially in the world of Fallout. We could definitely make that work. What I'm finding is loads of people find Maximus to be the worst character. And I was curious because I was trying to figure out what it is exactly. Could it be the performance? People have said he looks like he's perpetually crying. I understand that, the facial expression from the actor. He's not particularly good. That's okay, though. I feel like that wouldn't explain why everyone hates him. I think what it is that he is assumed by the Brotherhood of Steel to have sabotaged a fellow brother, and he gets promoted to squire. It's like,
brother.
Oh, okay, fine, I guess that's pretty lucky. Then his knight dies by him letting him bleed out, and he essentially just takes the suit. He gets all of this as a result of doing something pretty bad. You're like, damn, okay. Takes the identity, and then next up, he goes through all these horrors in the wasteland, but he keeps getting bailed out by the plot constantly, right? Anytime he gets close to death, someone turns up, something turns up. He's always just
his
fine,
suit
just
always turns up. That's like, they found his suit. That's
there you go. We got him.
What about the head?
Yeah. Oh, brilliant for Vault 4 to not only find and provide the suit back. That was fucking amazing. Anyway, he then goes back to the Brotherhood after having stolen the identity of the knight, admitted that there's so much sus shit going on with everything that he has done, lied, stolen, lies to the entire Brotherhood about the very material they need the most. They find this out, that he fucking lied, and then he says, wait, don't kill me, I know where the actual one is. If you know where the actual one is, that's even worse. And so what do they do with him?
Treachery.
What do they do with him? They tell him, you've come to understand the truth about the Brotherhood of Steel. Power is taken.
Before that, his trans friend goes, don't do it. And he goes, okay.
Well, yeah,
and that's twice. She gets promoted every time. She gets because she says don't do it.
He gets promoted, right? And then she gets promoted as well because he says, why are you coming on the mission? And she's like, this is my punishment. I was like, punishment? This is the thing.
Reward failure.
In order to remember, he accidentally looks like he's the one that killed Moldova. And so now he's going to be the right-hand man of the leader of the Brotherhood of Steel. I think people don't like the Maximus storyline because he does everything stupid and keeps getting rewarded. He keeps failing upward.
I think there's someone in the organization either protecting or deliberately promoting him. That was
a trans woman.
Now, I could be wrong. It could be crap writing, and you might be right. But my gut feeling is there's something else behind that, but I'm quite willing to be.
He's like the Forrest Gump of this story, and
yeah, he is.
Yeah, it would. I don't know. Just it didn't pull out. Like have him earn something because in Forrest Gump he earned some shit. Okay, he didn't just stumble across everything. So have him earn something. He kind of does it. Oh, no, he gets knocked out at the end, and then he gets credit for killing
Gary. It is insane. He's going to be the right hand knight of the main leader of the Brotherhood of Steel,
just like
because
that.
he accidentally gets knocked out into places that best benefit him.
How
He
did he
made
survive?
such awful decisions. There are no consequences for any fucking thing that he did. He
Paula, in real life, in my industry, a lot of really crap, untalented people get really far, and some of them are making shows like
They
you
do.
know,
I don't disagree.
It does happen in real life, you know.
I think it's fair to say the writers wrote what they knew.
Well, how did he survive getting punched in the head by Lucy's dad?
Oh, don't worry about it.
survived.
Power armor shit doesn't do anything.
You know what?
Flying
For a second, I thought he was dead, and I'm like, at least that's something. You know, if he actually died, that would have been something. I'm like, oh no, he's not dead. What am I thinking? Oh, they let Kyle MacLachlan just fucking fly away at the end too. It's like, well, it's better to follow a stuck pig. I was like, what?
Yeah, it seemed to like put a tracker on him or something, but like I don't think he did.
Yeah.
Why didn't Michael Rappaport fly away?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Because he was too stupid.
He was too stupid. Everyone's too fucking stupid in this whole show constantly. It's fun.
I don't remember those suits being able to fly in the game. Did they?
You could get a jetpack attachment for them, but it depleted the fusion core really quickly.
Oh, okay. Maybe
I'll say some good stuff. Sorry,
Walton
Walter Goggins. The aesthetic is really cool.
Walton.
Walton. Did I say Walter? Sorry, Walton Goggins. I'm retarded. Stop. I like the aesthetic. I like some of the costumes. Some of the gore was pretty cool. I chuckled a couple times. Like the dog. I like the dog. Was it Dog Meat? Is that the name of the dog?
Meat,
yeah, your companion.
Yeah. So like, my wife loved it.
Why'd you like the dog though, Gary?
Because it's a dog.
Dogs are nice,
I like dogs.
I was just making sure it was just because it's a dog. That's all good.
And they can be your friend.
The dog?
We're going to get you one for Christmas.
I've got 3 dogs. They're old though. They're old.
Can I touch upon the? Sorry, it's your show. You should probably go. No, Gary, I interrupted you. Carry on,
I just wanted to ask, how in the fuck did the doctor escape getting shot almost directly by probably a 50 caliber Gatling gun, whatever the fuck that was when he was escaping?
Yeah.
How in the
touch on that.
Gary,
that was really shitty action staging, and I don't know why they did that. They could have
How did
just
he
had
escape the Enclave? How did the waddling doctor who's like 50 escape the Enclave? I have no idea.
And Mahler,
With a
did you
dog?
do a count on how many times Kid Maximus walked out of the fridge?
Oh,
You told me it was a lot. It's like 6.
I think it was a grand total of either 5 or 6.
It's 5 or 6.
Yeah, that's
Wait,
a lot of
didn't he survive?
flashbacks.
Didn't he survive a nuke like Indiana Jones did?
He did.
With
Yes.
a hole in the
Yes.
back of it?
They should have had a take where Indy comes
There's
out
a
behind
hole in
him.
the back of it.
This is what I mean about their inept approach. It's like they're referencing one of the dumbest moments in the history of Indiana Jones while having a very dramatic, like, this is a core memory that made him decide to fight for justice in the world of Fallout. It's like, what are you doing? This is just funny.
Also, the Brotherhood of Steel are at war with the NCR. Why is there a Brotherhood Knight right in the capital of the NCR to rescue him?
I don't actually know what the fuck that knight was doing there now. I guess
In the
maybe they'll tell us in
capital
season
of enemy territory.
Yeah, Muller, just remember there's only 3 Indiana Jones films. 3.
There is.
That's
But
all.
there was 6 scenes of him walking out of a fucking refrigerator. We would have gotten it with 2. Okay.
And it's
Yeah,
not
well,
like
you
each
know what?
scene, like it's not like it shows you a bit more each time.
No,
it is
no.
pretty much just the same thing.
Just the last time they show more. They
What's
show
funny
more,
is
but-
when she's like, he's the one. Shady Sands, he did it. And then it like he slows it down. He looks at it. I was like, they're gonna do it. They're gonna do the flashback. They show the fridge again. It's like, no.
It's too good to only show once.
You know what? And if with that revelation, if Maximus just shot Kyle MacLachlan in the head right there, that would have. I'm like, shoot him in the fucking head right now. Just kill him. Just fucking kill him. Yeah, and that would have had more impact. But no.
I wanted to
the
touch a
scene?
little bit on the difference, the divide amongst gamers, because even amongst the Fallout fandom, right? Not just the show, but the games themselves are divisive. Because James Moore here has said, and this is for $100, so you know he's serious. Fallout show is good if you like Bethesda's absolute slop, The Black Isle Obsidian games are the good and serious with a hint of dark humor. The ghouls aren't zombies. They need food and water to survive. The Brotherhood were never a large faction until Bethesda took over. 3 out of 10 at best. Harsh.
How big was the Brotherhood originally?
Well, they were kind of big-ish, but they were losing to the NCR because Mr. House says this. He goes, fancy power armor and laser rifles are nothing when you're outnumbered 15-1. And they were all hiding in bunkers in New Vegas. And then that's the thing. The scribe goes, "We've fallen on bad times." When what are you talking about? Your biggest enemy's dead, and you've got a blimp. You're more powerful than you've ever been.
A bunch of helicopters and lots of, I guess, lots of weaponry and dude. Lots of bullets.
They're absolutely getting slaughtered. And now the biggest rival's gone, and they should be the undisputed power.
That's what I was thinking. I was, how could she be in charge when they are obviously pretty fucking strong, with a lot of people, and again, endless, they didn't seem to be wanting for too many resources, right?
No, the Brotherhood.
Yeah, they seem like they had plenty of fuel, plenty of weaponry,
Yeah, so they're the remnants of the US military. That's why they've inherited all the power armor, the weaponry, the helicopters, all that sort of thing.
Well, the Enclave in New Vegas were 5 old guys, and now they've got a giant facility. Somehow the Enclave is back, like Palpatine. They're just back now.
Well, they are and they aren't, because when you see their facility later, it's abandoned. So I don't know what you're meant to take from that.
But you had the alarm, and you could see guards, you could see scientists. They had multiple dog experiments. They were doing quite a lot. When you consider they were just 5 old dudes in New Vegas.
Yeah,
that's the thing. It does a bad job of world building because, I
had no idea what the Enclave was. I just thought they were inside that building, but I had no idea how big it was.
It doesn't.
Yeah,
it seems to rely a lot on people having knowledge of the games, which is a problem because there's a lot.
But if you do have knowledge of the games, it goes against them. So it wants its cake and eat it too. It wants people to know the games, but it also doesn't want to be held to the same standard as the games.
Yep, it's like the Halo
but
show.
The Enclave are not just referenced in New Vegas. They've been a staple of Fallout.
But they've been massively destroyed. It's like the Brotherhood. Brotherhood is on the losing path, and then now they're just winners. The NCR is the biggest faction. Now it's like Raiders.
Well, I mean, even if you
just
played... Yeah, but even if you played the later Fallout games 3 and 4, the Brotherhood were massive. They had huge resources.
That's a different chapter. That's on the other side of the country. On the Californian coast, they're getting decimated.
Reaper, the first time we see the airship, isn't that in Fallout New Vegas? When it
it's Fallout 3. Did you not see them 3 as well? No,
I thought they first turned up in 3. In isn't it 3 or?
Oh, you mean the vertibirds or the blimp? There's the Pridwin or the vertibirds, because the little helicopters are in 3.
Yeah, because
you're right. The Pridwin doesn't show up until 4. It flies right overhead. Yeah.
Are you sure? I thought it turned up in New Vegas.
The Pridwin, which if it is the Pridwin, why is it all the way from the Commonwealth? Why is it from Boston? Flew across the country. Do they have the entire country to themselves? What's the power level?
I just remember seeing it come over the top of me when I was on top of that building with you got the crashed helicopter and you rescue the guy who's under siege. And that's the first time you meet the Brotherhood. And then shortly after that, it turns up and soars over the top of the building. And I'm sure that was in New Vegas, which is the only one I can remember playing all the way through.
I'm just saying, number 4 is the one with the most powerful. Number 3, they're kind of struggling to stay alive against the super mutants. Right. And in this one, they just seem to be just unstoppable.
Oh, everybody's saying Fallout 4 in the chat.
So yeah, it's the Pridwins
maybe I did play that and I got it wrong.
You kill Kellogg, and then he goes, "I've got your son in the Institute," and then you leave, and then you see the Pridwin. But the thing is, though, it's terrible job with the factions. I don't it didn't even explain what they wanted. What's the Enclave wants? There's a throwaway comment with the Brotherhood of Steel. Considering they're a major faction, you'd think they'd do a bit more.
You know what I'm going to do here, right? I'm going to put it to the chat. I'm gonna put a poll out there saying, "Is
Good
Paula
idea,
any
Drinker.
good?"
Well done.
Yeah,
Paula
Lance
any
suggested this to me, and it's a good idea. So here you go. The
Well, yeah,
poll
especially
should
with
be
his
active.
chat. No,
Well, while
Let's see how it goes.
while they're voting, Drinker, I want to ask you about some lines of dialogue. Right, I want to know what you think of them. Quote: "Regular boys can get angry and they'll just pee on the wall, but clever boys like you, when they get angry, you're lucky not to have seen where that can lead. Just tread lightly."
That takes me back to my.
I mean, I'm not entirely sure what I should interpret from that one. I remember the line.
So what you
what
should
she's-
interpret from it is the smart people, when they're angry, get more threatening than stupid people when they're angry.
Yeah, fair enough.
But they decided to write that as regular boys piss on the wall when they're mad.
Which scene was that?
I think you're not meant to take that literally. I think that's safe to assume. Like, it's
no,
her
you're not
point
taking it
being-
literally, but that's supposed to be some kind of metaphor. Like, what the fuck was
Well, her point
pissing on the
being,
wall?
like, people might resort to physical violence when they're angry, and
There's a
like
better way to say that.
you're clearly
Yeah,
more dangerous because you're smarter, and
we
is
know-
a bigger threat.
Yeah,
You very much know as a writer, there's about 1 billion ways to write that line. They chose to say boys when they're angry will pee on the wall.
because that's what I do when I'm pissed all the time.
You get what I'm saying, right?
Literally
Like,
pee on the wall.
like there's so many better ways to get. the
Yeah,
idea
I
across.
get you. I get you.
Do you remember when Thaddeus gets a moment to explain his backstory and he says, "I got beat up a lot, and then a new guy came in, Maximus, and I said, let's beat him up. Funny idea, and it worked, and I was really
Why'd you
popular.
describe
It was
Tatum
great."
then?
Yeah, because he's
The leadership's Tatum?
so. Yeah, again, like, is it the most elegant way of getting that point across? No, but he's not an articulate man. He is a pretty simple character.
No,
I can totally get that he would see the world in very broad, simple terms, like playground mentality of like, okay, you pick up a weaker kid. And
I'm no longer accepting he's a retard as a response to any
it's
of my
not like
criticism.
he's a retard, but it's simply he is not an articulate philosopher who sees the world in complex ways. He is a
Like you,
simple-minded
Mola.
man. He's a grunt.
It's not about that. It's about the writers choosing to make his backstory and then have him describe it this way. There's plenty of dialogue in the show that's perfectly normal, but when you have the heartfelt moment of understanding his history and who he is as a person, the way he says it, right? I was hoping to get through the whole quote. "I get beat up a lot, and this new guy comes in, and I said, let's beat him up. Funny idea, and it worked. I was really popular. It was great. I just wish he lived long enough to beat someone else up."
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
he lived longer to beat someone else up.
Fucking hell.
It sounds,
It
sounds like a modern
yeah.
Marvel comic. That's what it sounds like.
Really simplistic,
Yeah.
really dumb. Like, I do not know what the
Overwritten,
education level
dumb.
of these characters is going to be. I'm guessing it's very low.
I
They
think we
do
should
not
ask
see
that of the
world-
writers.
Yeah. You get the point that he's trying to convey. It's like, this is all cyclical. Eventually, he was going to graduate to the point where he could pick on someone else, and like then he would be
Much like the pissing on wall line, there is an idea. We're talking about the execution of the idea, which to me is indicative of their shitty dialogue writing. They're not very good at rendering their ideas into dialogue in the show. And I think that is present throughout.
With the pissing on the wall thing, I would interpret that as she is very patronizing towards him because she is an arrogant character who's talking down to him. She's trying to infantilize him because, again, that's the world of this vault where people are not treated with respect that is due to like adult human beings. They're infantilized. And that might be how she would phrase a description like that. Again, it sounds shit to our ears because it's not elegant writing, but it's a creative choice that they've made. You can definitely debate the merits of that for sure. And again, with the Brotherhood of Steel guy, again, I can put that down to him not being a very articulate guy, not being very good at conveying his emotions and his thought processes for things because he's never really had to interrogate his own thought processes.
Have you got any other scenes in the show you'd cite that as an example?
I mean, off the top of my head, not really. I'm going to need time.
Because the rest of the show, he's perfectly normal.
Normal is a bit of a stretch. Like the whole point, like the part where he gets turned into a ghoul And
Yeah.
a normal person might have a realization of like, oh my god, like my entire like existence has just changed, and I become this horrifying monster, and eventually I'm going to become a feral zombie. His reaction is more just like, oh man, that's really inconvenient.
His reaction is he can never go back to the Brotherhood of Steel, and he wants to be able to live, and so he makes a deal with Maximus immediately. I don't see how that's outside of normal. Come to think of it, Thaddeus is one of the more normal characters in the entire show.
Yeah.
Once he's had some rat away, it'll be fine.
I mean, he's like I say, like he's a bit blasé about the whole like, you're essentially had a horrifying fate placed on you because of this. He just acts it more like, oh man, it's like my car's got a flat tire or something. Like it's that degree of like exasperation.
He cannot be a part of the Brotherhood of Steel anymore, and he wants to live, so he immediately decides to make a deal to try and save his own life, and then we don't see him again. We don't know how he feels about being a ghoul now.
Yeah, but even the whole like realization of I can't go back to the Brotherhood and I have to make a deal to get out of here, like it's kind of foisted upon him. They prompt him to make that deal. He doesn't.
Yeah, but the Brotherhood is right there. They can see the Brotherhood is coming. He has to do something now, or he's going to be killed.
Yeah, because they tell him that.
Yeah, but he knows that he's a part of the Brotherhood.
Yeah. So I guess my point.
They don't tolerate ghouls.
Yeah, I guess my point is like he has a very simplistic kind of almost childlike reaction to it.
It's very simple at that point. He is a ghoul. The Brotherhood is coming. He is going to get killed. He needs to get out of there. Whether or not he's having an existential crisis about being a ghoul compared to being a person, that's probably something they'll do in season 2. But right there and then, he needed to get out of there because he's going to get killed.
In season 2, when he magically runs across them in the middle of the
desert.
He'll
randomly bump into something that'll make a story, blah, 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 yeah.
Can we talk about how great Shogun is now, please?
Yeah,
in a second.
Sure. Yeah, I should probably tell you guys with the poll. So what was it? 3,500 people have voted. So about a third of our audience right now. So it's 55% yes, Fallout is good, and 45% no, it's not.
Oh, Morley, you're wrong.
What's the margin of error? What's the margin of error? This is a normal conversation. No, this is really good. I like it.
It was actually 60% in favor of no, and then we had a sudden dump of ballots.
Dump. Where's my
dump? Skewed it in favor of yes.
At the radio station, was it all the people like in those traps? Did he call them critics? Did I catch that right? He's all critics. And then there's a bunch of like dead bodies in these traps. I don't know if I missed that or not. If they actually did that, that was pretty funny.
Why didn't he tell him about the trap? He let him use his radio, and he should have went, "Oh yeah, there's a crossbow there."
Yeah, right. There's a trap with a crossbow. You might want to watch out for that.
Because then you wouldn't get that hilarious scene where he gets a crossbow bolt through his throat and then realizes that he's not dead. And he's a ghoul.
But you understand, it's incredibly lucky that happened because he's convinced then to give them the head.
Yes.
Like, had that not happened that way, like, whenever something retarded happens in the show, just think about its consequences in terms of the writing and you'll have your answer.
Yeah. Well, Mauler, the chat has proven you wrong, so
I must take the L.
Hey, we talked about this, Mauler. This is Prey all over again.
I think this is actually Mandalorian. I think season 2 will be as bad or worse. Then season 3 will be so bad everyone gives up.
This is Jonathan Nolan and Lisa Joy from fucking Westworld, which this show, by the way, followed a lot of beats from Westworld, if you know anything about the show. And yeah, I wouldn't
I have a lot of worries about season 2.
Hold out a lot of hope for season 2.
Is it gonna annoy you, Mauler? Because it does me, where they go, season 2 was terrible, and I'm like, season 1 was terrible.
Yeah, that'll happen. It'll get worse. Trust me, lads. It'll get worse.
And then they go, I can't believe it. What do you mean believe it? We've explained why.
I won't be fucking watching at that point. I'll be busy with hopefully Arcane will be out and it'll be great.
But you know what? If we all thought the same about every show, God, life would be so boring, wouldn't it?
Well, I think honestly, I've really enjoyed like having a difference of opinion on Open Bar because it's kind of rare, and so
indeed.
But as the leader of the bar, I'm just going to overrule Mauler and say that I'm right.